So 3 days to go. Where do things stand right now?
Well, it's pretty consistent over the last several weeks that the Liberals are holding up about a 4 to 6% lead over the Conservatives, which with the plus or minus error, it's roughly 4% consistently. And more importantly, preferred Prime Minister Mr. Carney leads Pierre Poilievre by double-digit numbers, and that has also been consistent. And we know from virtually all the polls that the Liberals are leading in Atlantic Canada, in Quebec, in Ontario. They're doing well in Manitoba, not in Saskatchewan and Alberta. For no surprise, the Conservatives have very strong leads there. And then there's more of a battleground in British Columbia, although the lower mainland, which is voter-rich, seems to be going Liberal as well. If you look at the polls and you look at past election campaigns, it looks, from my point of view right now, that the Liberal government is heading for an electoral win. What's not sure is will they get a majority, or how big of a majority is. If I was betting on it, I would say that they're going to get a majority, but I would have no idea on the size of that.
Wow, such a different story we were talking about just a couple of months ago. I want to dial in a little bit on what's going on in Pierre Poilievre's riding. Is he at risk of losing that riding?
Well, he's certainly in for a very tough fight in his Carleton riding. This is a riding in 2019. He won it 46%. He won it 52% in 2021. But in the past 2 weeks, Mr. Poilievre has had to bring in campaign workers, experienced campaign workers, by the way, to knock on doors to try to make sure they can get the vote out. So it's a very tight race. I know from the Ontario Progressive Conservative internal numbers, the Ottawa area is going to go all Liberal. It's not surprised. This is Ottawa is a big federal bureaucracy, and they tend to vote Liberal or NDP. But in this particular case, it looks like the city in the surrounding area is going to going to Liberal in a big way. That's going to put added pressure on Mr. Poilievre's riding. An internal Liberal Party poll of 383 people that was just taken recently, which is a big sample for his riding, shows Mr. Poilievre and the Liberal candidate in a dead heat. Now, look, I think Mr. Poilievre will probably win the riding, but if he loses the election and he loses his own riding, I think he's going to be in very serious danger of trying to hold on to his leadership. There's a lot of unhappy Conservatives. I mean, this is a man who blew a 27% lead over the Liberals. And then the way they've tried to control everybody in the party has made people very angry. His campaign manager, Jenny Byrne, for example, kept 90 seats for herself to dispense rather than allowing open nominations, which is a party that's grassroots. And then, of course, as you know, they shunted Doug Ford, the Ontario Premier. They treated Jean Charest with great disrespect. He could have been a hell of an asset for him in Quebec. And Mike DeYoung, the former BC finance minister, at the last minute, they said, we don't want you to run for you. That is just the stupidest policy. What you want to do is build a big tent. You want to get the most qualified people into your tent when you're running an election campaign. That's how you build coalitions.
Well, Robert Fife, it's always good to hear your take on all of this as we are 3 days out now. Hard to believe. Thanks for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.